And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is The Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Great to have you. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's just having the time of your life.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Lonzo's having a morning, y'all. He's just having a morning so far.
Yeah, nothing I say, everything. Well, yeah. So I was in
Exactly. Right. You know, like just like
that's
that.
what. Yeah. And,
just like that.
And then when stuff does come out, it usually ends up being taken the wrong way. So
yeah, the engineering team, the Super Bros, were standing in the doorway, and Lonzo had probably 3 different moments where he said words. And all 3 of us degenerates just stopped and looked at each other like, it's not what he meant, but it's what he said. I can't repeat any of them on the air, but they were hilarious.
I did not curse. I want to point that out.
He did not. There was some accidentally heavy innuendo.
All right. So when minds dwell in the gutter already. Yeah. I mean, and they're looking or listening for something.
Right.
You're gonna. Well, it was.
No, that one was right there.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, that one was right there.
It was.
There was no avoiding that one. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show we got lined up for you today. In my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, got a lot of things. Thanks, Heather, that we need to talk about on the radio broadcast today. One that I'm very excited about. We're going to get to it at the end of this hour. Thursday Night Football in the National Football League is set to go in just a couple of weeks. And they announced yesterday that they will be integrating more artificial intelligence into their broadcasts, including they will be adding, alongside the yellow first down marker, great one, they will be adding a second line on the field now. And that second line, which will move around play by play, down by down. That second line is an artificial intelligence dictated spot on the field where if the ball reaches that spot, it would make sense for the team to go for it on 4th down statistically. The greatest possible advantage for going on 4th down as determined by artificial intelligence, which tells me, if it's being introduced to the National Football League broadcast this year, that it is already well ingrained amongst NFL coaching staffs. They already know how that works. So I want to talk about that later in the show, mainly just to see how Lonzo feels about it.
I heard a political ad where it says that the voices of these 2 particular candidates are generated by AI.
Yeah.
It's all over people. I mean, it's been nice knowing you, the actual people that are listening. The other people who are not people who will soon be, taking over. I do not bow to you.
You shall get no such satisfaction from me.
You have no soul. Just leave me alone. I still don't know how that's legal. I guess it's the same as having an impersonator. But the fact that you can put an AI that sounds exactly like the people, that's putting impersonators out of business. Or maybe they need to step up their game. I don't know.
The wonderful world of impersonators.
As someone who, does a voice or two, both of us, not well, but we do a voice or two.
Crikey.
Yeah. My voices are you're only going to, except for the ones in my head. The other ones you can only hear on, the upstate voices. In my head. The upstate pulse, man. Jeez, what is wrong with me?
I told y'all. We're going to have to fight to get Lonzo through today, y'all.
Could it be that shot I got in the knee? I mean, could it actually be? I don't know.
Zoe got. I don't know how much you want to reveal.
Yeah, well, I've been having a lot of leg problems, and the first solution, I have major arthritis in my reconstructed knee and some meniscus problems. So the first thing they did is they gave me a shot in the knee. So, and it's progressively getting better, by the way, to the point where I may actually try the treadmill tomorrow. But I feel really weird today, and I don't know if it's because of that or maybe I'm just weird today.
Lonzo's on the juice.
It's not. Yeah, but it's supposed to. Listen, steroids, from my understanding, are supposed to do the opposite of this. So I just don't. I don't know.
Yes, we all know those big roided up dudes known for their intelligence.
Well, that's a good point. I remember a dude in college who like went after his DA and he took a fire extinguisher off the wall and broke the bottom half of the door, crawled in, bloodied himself as he's crawling in. The DA jumped out of the second story window. His last name was a bird. I can't say it in case he's listening because he may drive down here. So
yeah, no, I would prefer then that you did not.
And yes, he was on the foot. This was a year before drug testing started. So I mean, yeah, it was.
I would very much prefer that you did not say
that
individual.
I would rather deal with the other two guys who were on roids, but their voices just went really high.
Texas says, how do we know Lonzo's not AI? He's a little too good. I don't know. He might be a T2000.
I'm not as good as I want to be, nor as good as I should be in many different things.
We'll talk some more
AI. But I am award winning. I want to.
He is multi-time.
Hard to believe by listening today.
Multi-time. We'll talk more AI later on in the show because I do think it's having a bigger impact in the game, and I do want to talk about it. We have got to talk about this Harbaugh thing. You just went to pop the O on your shirt, but you did it like this.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, he is really excited about this Harbaugh thing.
In case you don't know, I mean, those things that you're talking about, they're a little bit further out than where I. Okay. You saw me wearing the work shirt the other day.
I thought, man. Lonzo's got his Buckeye scarlet and gray shirt on with the big block O on the front. And when I said the Harbaugh 3-game suspension, he moved his hands toward the shirt on the outside of the O. But the way he held his fingers, I was like, wow, it is getting very XXX up on the Rob Brown show today. It didn't. He just popped the shirt.
By the way, this is proof that it's not me. It's them. It's you. Your guys' minds are going somewhere. And it's looking like it's all me, but it's not me. I mean, how else would I pull my shirt out to emphasize the O than doing exactly what I'm doing right now?
I don't know.
I mean, do I grab a whole handful like this of my shirt? Then it would look like that.
I saw what I saw.
Okay, fine. Grab your Triumph jersey. How would you grab it?
You know why? Because it's game day, baby. Triumph at home tonight for the first time in a hot minute. The boys are back at the house after going out on the road to Colorado and taking on Hailstorm, who are the leaders of USL Group 1 or League 1, on the table right now. The Triumph went out to their house and took a very valuable 1 point away from them, which was big. Now they got to come home and get 3. And we're going to talk about that later on in the broadcast. By the way, either tomorrow or Friday, I will be talking with Dougie Fresh, Doug Irwin later today. Either tomorrow or Friday, John Harkes will be joining us on the show. We got to catch up with the Triumph. That's coming up later on. So we'll talk about that later on in the week. But the Triumph do have a big game tonight at Furman Paladin Stadium. If you're going to be there, come find me. I'll be the guy who looks like me. So we'll talk a little football later. We have got to get into I'm going to vent. I'm going to vent later. I'm going to vent later because there is a new rivalry in the world of hot take artist media. And I am all in for, with, and beside a dude that I've never been for, with, and beside before. I'm going to tell you who that is coming up later on in the show. But before we get into any of that, Lonzo, let me grab clip 6 because, Zoe, if there's anything that you and I agree on, Lonzo and I are very different people, but we get along very well.
Are we really that different? I don't know. I'm not trying to kill the bit, but are we really that different? There's just one major difference.
I'd say there's more than one, but the point is,
no.
We have our moments, okay? But there is one thing.
For you to reach my level, it requires you to imbibe a little bit. And then once you do, then you come to the crazy that I already am. So
I feel like you got that backwards.
No.
I think for you to come to my level, you have to imbibe a little bit.
Listen. You have to loosen up to get to where I'm at. And that's fine. It's different for each person. And I'm okay with that. All right, your clip is ready. I can turn the mic off. I just look there. There we go. That doesn't count.
There is one thing that no matter what else we may disagree on, Lonzo and I very much agree on, and that is throwing petty shade. I'm a big fan of throwing petty shade. It makes me laugh almost every time. And old Shane Beamer loves throwing a little petty shade every now and then, and I got to tell you, I'm all on board. Remember last year? Last year, there was this big thing between Shane Beamer and another Southeastern college football coach. It was Mark Stoops.
Who's that?
He is the head coach at the University of Kentucky. Whoa! The head coach of the Big Blue Wildcats.
I've heard of them. Him, not so much.
So old Stoopsy, baby. Stoopsy last year decided when Kentucky was getting ready to take on South Carolina, he decided to throw a little shade of his own. And when he threw that shade of his own, he said, some coaches out there, climate change versus culture change. I put on the dumb sunglasses and they dance in the locker room.
Wait a minute. Now I recognize him.
That's the guy. Well, of course, Shane Beamer and company not only went out there and then knocked off the Wildcats, but what did Shane do immediately in the aftermath of that victory? He went to the locker room, he put on funny sunglasses, and he hit the Soldier Boy. He went in, he put on the glasses, and he danced. I love
still waiting for my lessons.
Old friend of the show, Shane Beamer. Then, ladies and gentlemen, Shane Beamer got to the podium yesterday, and he decided, you can say what you want. Oh, it's a coincidence. No, it's not. This is 100% intentional. The Kentucky Wildcats will visit Willie B. They'll be playing in Columbia coming up in just a handful of weeks. And yesterday, Shano made this announcement. That's pretty great. He decided.
Is it Darude?
It's Darude.
That's how he said it. So I don't know. Is that how you? I don't know.
Okay. I got to tell you, as long as I've known about Sandstorm, as long as I have paid attention to Sandstorm, I've never heard the name of that artist pronounced, actually. Yeah, I've never heard the name of the artist said out loud.
For some reason, I thought it was like created by someone at South Carolina. I didn't realize it was actually created by a person who has other songs. So I don't suggest you play that in your car as you're driving down the road because you'll start jumping up and down and that could cause problems.
Can we be real? Can we talk about what this is? You know what this is? This is Shane going old double bird to Mark Stoops, right? Like, you want to hit us up about funny glasses and dancing in the locker room. We're going to bring in what is he, like a Swedish DJ? Ain't he like Swedish?
It sounds Swedish. I don't know.
I want to say he's Swedish. Let's go to the old Darude Wikipedia page. He is Finnish. I was close. He was Finnish. Finnish DJ and record producer from Jura Satakunta, I guess.
Why does that sound Spanish when you say it?
He started making music in 95 and released the platinum-selling hit single Sandstorm in late 99. And I do think South Carolina got a shout out on his Wikipedia page somewhere. Anyway, Sandstorm artist Darude will be in Colombia. There's 0% chance that's a coincidence that it just happened to be Kentucky weekend, right? Because let's be real. That culture v. climate change is going to get a lot of run. A lot of run all the way up till that game. And now they are bringing in a Finnish DJ to bounce the song that they used to get that stadium hype, which means you're going to hear it like, I was going to say live, but it's, you know what I mean? DJ live.
Yeah, so he's going to put on a concert before. Is he going to come into the stadium? And because I think
they got to, right? They got to try him out when they play it. They got to try him out when they play it.
Even though he can do the equivalent of lip syncing.
Dude,
it's like pretending like he's like, yeah, it would be a, yeah.
Is this a game we're going to now? Like, it's a game we're going to, right? I kind of feel like we got to be there because this is the petty game. This is Shane being petty, and I am all in on it. You are in the climate v. culture change rivalry, trotting out the hype man DJ to play techno music, to put on sunglasses and dance to. This is going to be incredible.
Look, it's Darude.
Darude. I'm all in. This is what you guys, we talked a lot about during the age of conference expansion about, we're losing all the things that make college football special. No. This is what makes college football special. You will never have a rivalry like this between coaches in the NFL. You'll have rivalries between coaches in the NFL, but you'll never have one like this.
You were close to going, nah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That wasn't on purpose, but it was great. It's got to be fun. It absolutely has to be fun, but you got to win that game. Just like last year, you got to win that game against Kentucky. If you do all this and then you go out and you fall flat, it's not good.
No. Unbelievable.
So if you do all this and you go out and lose, do you have to change you not use that song anymore?
You're not dumping Sandstorm, but that rivalry takes a hit for you. And I don't care what you say. As far as I am concerned, that's a rivalry now, right? Like, this is how you start a rivalry, with just petty hatred. I'm all in. This is Kentucky, South Carolina is a rivalry now. Between the comments last year, Shane immediately hitting the locker room and going glasses and goofy dancing, and now bringing in Darude to drop a live Sandstorm on Kentucky's noggin. This is going to be great. I want to be at this game now. This is the game I want to go to now. Because it's petty and it's at its best. Ladies and gentlemen, should you like to be a part of the radio broadcast today? I have multiple ways for you to do it. The phone line's open, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. The text line's open for you. The CarPros.com text line is at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can post, threads, X, tweet us. Take the verb of your choice at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, at Lonzo on Word, and we'll read those on the air. And of course, make sure you join us on the live stream, won't you? Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate. Search The Fan Upstate on YouTube or The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. Come watch the show. Come behind the scenes. We're going to talk about this stuff off the air as well. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now. Ladies and gentlemen, a brief bit of baseball for you. 3 segments a week. This is going to be one of them. The odds for the projected World Series matchups are shifting just a little bit. The Braves are all over the place. So where do they stand right now in their quest for a World Series after they did drop one to San Francisco and New York this week? They did get it back last night, but it was not the offensive explosion that we had hoped. I'll tell you where they stand when we come back. Rob, the sheriff of sports talk, Lonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we got a live read. Y'all stay right there. We'll be right back. a moment. My disembodied voice will carry you for the next few seconds as we're having some technical difficulties here in the studio. That Captain America Chris Evans down the hall is literally inches away from me taking care of.
In the meantime, you get more of me. How could there be anything better than more of me?
You almost said worse.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We did on the day like today. Yeah, it's not, it ain't pretty, yo.
So we've talked a lot of baseball over the past couple of weeks. I don't know if you know this or not, Lonzo. I actually do a baseball show.
I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, it's not, but it's entertaining.
There's other people in it aside from you.
That's true. There are.
Including
former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker, who hosts the show, and then also I am there. It is called Bet for the Cycle. It airs every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network and on fine Odyssey stations around the world. You can hear that and win some money in the baseball stuff. Anyway, we have been keeping an eye
in the baseball stuff.
In the baseball.
Oh no,
stuff.
it's catching. No. Don't be like me today. No, you must use real words.
Tune in Saturday and do some baseballs with us. Anyway.
Get all your baseballs over here. You know what I'm saying?
We keep an eye on the World Series odds as they are ever changing in the world of Las Vegas and baseball gambling, which is a thing that I do and we talk about. Anyway, the number one, the shortest odds, according to Las Vegas, the World Series matchup with the shortest odds is currently the Atlanta Braves, representing the National League, and the Houston Astros, representing the American League. Now, the odds for that matchup are currently sitting at 9-1, plus 900, if you like your plus and minus signs. But 9-1 odds that the World Series is Atlanta taking on Houston. Now, that's interesting for a handful of reasons. Obviously, it selects the Braves, who do have the best record in Major League Baseball as of right now, alongside obviously the best record in the National League. The Houston Astros do not have the best record in the American League right now. In fact, they have the third best record in the American League, as they are just a tick below the Texas Rangers, and they are a couple of ticks below the Orioles of Baltimore. But as I have said on our show multiple times at this point, the Orioles don't really have World Series experience. They don't really even have tough playoff game experience, right? They just have not been here. They have not done this. The Astros have, in fact, multiple times. This may or may not shock you, but the Atlanta Braves defeated the Houston Astros not terribly long ago for their most recent World Series victory. But here's what else is interesting about these numbers. What else is interesting about these numbers is that they have actually gotten longer over the past 5 days. About a week and a half ago, this line was at plus 725. 7 and some change to 1. As of the beginning of this week, it had dropped down to 8-1, and now it has fallen to 9-1. Those odds are getting longer. Now, again, they still are the shortest odds for any possible World Series matchup, but they are dropping. And my question is, are they dropping because faith is dropping in Houston? Are they dropping because faith is dropping in Atlanta? Or are they dropping because confidence is rising elsewhere? Well, I think to answer that, we've got to go look at the other World Series matchup that is also, as of today, at 9-1. The Texas Rangers and Atlanta Braves are a possible World Series matchup that is now also lined up at 9-1. Now, this one is interesting to me because I thought initially, hey, maybe this number for Braves Astros has dropped a little bit because the Braves lost a couple, right? They dropped one to San Francisco. Granted, they did take 3 out of 4 in that series. And they dropped the series opener to the New York LOL Mets. Thanks, Chris. But they turned around. They did get a dub last night. So now that series is even at 1 apiece between them and the NL East rivals from the Big Apple, a team that they dominated about a week ago in a series up in New York. But the Rangers have lost 5 straight. And yet they still sit at a tie for the shortest odds of being matched up with the Atlanta Braves in the World Series. Now, again, I told you the Houston line dropped from plus 725 to plus 800, now to down 9 to plus 900. This line has also dropped as well. This line was sitting at 825. It went to 850 at the beginning of the week. It is now at plus 900 at 9-1. But I do think you've got to look down to get a better odd. We got to go down to the 3rd place. Gamble for the shortest odds. I promise I've done this before. Stick with me. Lonzo's infectious today. I mean, his charm and wit, obviously.
I'm getting it back, so maybe it's like it's an entity. It's moved from me to you. You're welcome.
The 3rd shortest odds in Las Vegas for a potential World Series matchup are the Atlanta Braves taking on the Baltimore Orioles. That line is listed at 10-1. Now, this is interesting because you might think that this would have the shortest odds. As I mentioned just a minute ago, the Bravos and the O's hold the 2 best records in MLB. They do hold the best record in the AL and the NL. They are also 1-2 overall in Major League Baseball. But it has not found its way to the top of the odds board. And as I said earlier in the show, I very much believe that that is largely because the Orioles have not been there, done that, got the t-shirt. The Astros do. It's been a while since the Rangers have been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But the Rangers, up until the Braves started clicking, did have the best offensive run differential in all of Major League Baseball. But the O's, all of a sudden, the Orioles are winning tough contest. The Orioles are not dropping games against the best teams in baseball like they had been earlier in the year. The O's now, I'm not going to say they look like a veteran team, but they did sweep Oakland. That's what a good team does. They took 2 out of 3 against Seattle. That's a good team. They did drop 2 out of 3 to Houston, but that's Houston. They swept the Yankees. They took 2 out of 3 against Toronto. They took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees before that. They're starting to win series against the good teams and dominate series against the bad teams. The Orioles now are a threat. So the question mark is, how far down do you have to go before you start seeing the Braves not listed as the NL favorite? And the answer is you got to go down to the 4th shortest odds in potential World Series matchups. That is where the LA Dodgers make their first appearance, and that is also 10-1. The LA Dodgers versus the Houston Astros and the LA Dodgers versus the Texas Rangers. Those odds are both 10-1. Of course, the Dodgers and the Astros were matched up in the 2017 World Series. That was the World Series where the Astros were labeled the Trastros, where the Astros were labeled cheaters. Be a good matchup, be a good rematch. Be fun to get that legacy back underway after the tarnished legacy of the Astros has been following them around ever since. And then also 10-1 is Dodgers v. Rangers. So, I don't know, man. That is kind of interesting to me that the Braves hold the 3 possible matchups with the shortest odds.
It scares you, doesn't it? Because whether you say you're superstitious or not, I think you're worried that everyone's picking them to win, or at least to be there.
I would be happy to say that, yes, that is absolutely correct. I would be happy You are spot on with that.
You know, sometimes the best team in any sport is the best team in any sport, and it's okay for them to be projected to win everything, because a lot of times when you are the best team, you do win. So I think you're all right.
I would like to think so, but that's also not how baseball works. The Braves were, arguably, even without Ronald Acuna, certainly the best team in the National League East last year. What happened in the playoffs? They got bounced by the Phillies, right? Because playoff baseball is not regular season baseball. If you ask me right now to take a bet that the Braves will finish this regular season with the best record in Major League Baseball and therefore earn home field advantage should they make it to the World Series, I would actually say yes, I will take that bet. I will accept that bet. And Lonzo knows there's not much I love more than slamming the panic button about the Bravos. In fact, I want you to know, Zoe, I had to hold myself back from doing it last night. Or, excuse me, on yesterday's show. The Braves lost one game to the Mets, and I was ready to come in here like, oh, God, it's over. The bats died. We're done. Hey, turned around. They got a win last night, 3-2 win. 2-run shot from Rosario, another one from Ozuna, who has 3 in the last 2 games. So I'm happy to place a little change that the Braves end the regular season with the best record in Major League Baseball. What I'm not willing to do is put money on them going to the World Series. I'm not doing it. I learned my lesson on Monday. Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. I sat in with PJ Glasser on You Better You Bet, which is the BetQL weekday afternoon show. Sat in and did a guest host spot with them. And PJ asked me, we got into talking about our rules for gambling, right? And I do this every year. We might do a gambling for dummies segment. Maybe later this week. We got college football this weekend, but certainly before the start of the NFL season. We might do a gambling on football for dummies special.
Yeah, I need a refresher. So, yeah.
Happy to do it. We will probably, I'll go ahead and say we probably will go ahead and do that. We'll do a gambling for dummies refresher. And part of the reason I want to do that is because I absolutely do carry around a list of rules that I utilize. And one of them is do not ever bet on your own team. Don't do it. Because no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard I try, that's Cher. No matter how hard I try.
Not familiar. I'll take your word for it.
You keep pushing me aside and I can't break through. There's no talking to you.
Wow. For the first time ever, a music, even your country references I usually get.
You don't know Cher?
No, I'm aware of Cher. I used to have nightmares about the Sonny and Cher show. But yeah.
Do you believe in love?
Oh, so those are the words to that song?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're not finding another sports show in the state of South Carolina that is going to get you some Cher references.
That's why we win trophies, yo.
Have you seen Cher lately, by the way?
Yeah, I saw her on. She had disappeared for a while, and now she's back. She might actually be an alien.
Y'all, if you want plastic surgery, you better go to Cher's doctor because Cher's doctor is the only one who's getting it right. Cher, 80 years old, and she could pass for her early 50s. 80 years old. Go pull up a picture of Cher lately, like now. Blow you away. All these other celebrities going to get plastic surgery, you better go see Cher's because she's doing work, or he's doing work, whoever.
I don't know that she could actually move her face, but it looks pretty good
for being 80.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm so sad that you're leaving.
By the way, she's 77. She's not 80, but it's close enough. Wow, this is the most I've ever heard of that song.
That's enough Cher. Let's finish up with the Brave stuff before it's going to be a day today, y'all. It's going to be a day today. So what were we talking about? Cher. Okay, got it. We're good. I got it. I was about ready to slam the panic button yesterday on the show.
I was going to say, let me help you. I mean, I just.
Oh, no, I'm not. I figured it out.
Okay, all right.
Thanks. Appreciate you being there for me. I was ready to push the panic button yesterday after the L back-to-back to the Giants and the Mets. But then I did have a buddy who said, hey, he was at the game Sunday against the Giants. He said it was 100 degrees in that ballpark. Listen, they're from San Francisco. Like, you should have the advantage. But playing 7 games in a row and then being asked to finish up a Sunday afternoon, or it can wear on you, especially when they had put up so many runs in the, 7 games leading up to that. So I'm going to let that one go. I'm going to let L1 to the Mets go. Because let's be real, at this point, the Mets season is a failure. It is a bona fide failure. They fire sold. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked to see them let more guys go when the offseason gets here. It's bad. All they have left is beating the Braves. That's it. That's all they've got left, right? Beating the Braves, maybe the Phillies. So you got the best game the New York Mets have put together all season, and they scored 10 on Atlanta. What was it? 10-4, I think was the final. Braves came back out last night, played small ball, beat them back up. The pitching is starting to come back for Atlanta. It's not perfect, but it started to come back. Spencer Strider last time out went, what did he go? I think he went 7 innings, 7.1, ended up like 9 Ks, 3 walks, 1 run allowed or something like that. He's dealing again. Bryce Elder looked better last time that he was out there. Like, the Braves have found, again, I'm not saying it's great because it ain't great. They got a lot of distance between there and great, but they've started to deal again. So it does not shock me that the odds for the potential World Series matchups involving Atlanta are dropping. But what is more important is that they are dropping, and the Braves have the 3 games or 3 matchups with the shortest odds. Things are starting to be consistent for Atlanta, and Vegas is reflecting that. You got to go all the way down to matchup number 4 before you see the Dodgers. And oh, by the way, after that, the Braves, of the top 10 matchups with the shortest possibility, the Braves are listed in 7 of them. I just kind of want to let that breathe. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Have to think a tinkle. All right, guys, 45 seconds. Be right back. So I have a Google Pixel, and my phone every day builds me. It goes through and it builds me like a collage of pictures that have a theme, right? Just like a little walk down memory lane thing. And today's theme was about 14 different pictures of me holding a Bud Light. And this has been like 14 different places since I moved here. And the common theme was, here's Rob drinking a Bud Light.
By the way, we barely have any share in the system. We do not have that song in the system. I know it was played in the building, like 15 years ago. It's also the song on a video where Chris was fired that he was singing as Cameron tossed him out of the building.
Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Help clear away classroom bacteria. Kill 99.9% of germs and first-day jitters. Disinfect desks. Get rid of sticky surfaces. And sanitize the room. For less obstacles and more studying. When you get to
Apparently someone stormed the stage at Gamescom.
Really?
Because they want GTA 6.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know if is it real or is it a work? Jeff Keighley looks scared.
I heard.
Nerd scared.
I heard the other day that GTA 6, they're projecting it is going to cost upwards of $200 million to make. That's insane, right? All right, wrapping up hour number 1 of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Talked a little baseball in the last segment. You guys are welcome to throw your opinions at us. 844 fan phone, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. You can text us on the carpros.com text line 71307. Texter says, wrong, Rob. Always bet against your team. That way, if they lose, you win. And if they win, you win. It's a win-win situation. That's the degenerate mindset I need to have, man.
I don't know.
That's beautiful.
Because if you bet against them and they win, don't you still lose money?
I mean, yeah, but you won.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Like, if you're going to lose money, the best way to do it is I am still going to celebrate. The boys still got work done.
Or in that case, is don't bet. I mean, so then your team wins and you keep your money.
But if your team loses, you've just lost. If your team loses, you've won money. It's still a win. I get what he's saying. It's logically perfect. It's rationally perfect.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're winning either way. Sometimes there's no other situation where you win either way.
This looks like, well, look, my team won. I'm out $100, but my team won. You're out $100.
Texter said, Rob is a 40-plus year fan. This Gamecock game may need to be the one I choose to be my first live. For my mental health, friends will be needed. Yo, if you're going to go to a first one live, Petty Revenge Game is always a great one to go to, right? If you don't think Shane's fellas are going to realize exactly what this is. This is exactly what it is. You don't think they want to go get Mark? When Shane goes in the locker room and goes, all right, boys, that fella over there wearing the visor on the other side, he thinks this is just a flash in the pan. He thinks you boys are just the flavor of the month, man. Let's go show him something. Oh, and by the way, Darude is out there. You don't want to let down Darude. So let's bring some noise. I love that. Texas said, you haven't talked about the Triumph in a while, wondering about how the women's Greenville team is coming. Well, the Greenville Liberty season did conclude. They play an opposite season from the men's team. The Liberty play in the early to late spring, which I guess is just spring, and I'm dumb. They play in the spring, as most of the players on a semi-professional team, most of those players move on to go play for their college teams. A couple of them playing for Clemson and South Carolina, as a matter of fact. So these the women's team season did come to its conclusion. Unfortunately, the Greenville Liberty did not make the USLW League playoffs this year. A year after making it to the semifinals, they came up a couple of points shy in this one, but that's such a volatile league. I mean, that league just kind of, you talk about turnover. It is wild turnover. The Triumph, as I mentioned back in the first segment of the show, did go out to Colorado to take on the USL League One top of the table Colorado Hailstorm and played to a level 0-0 draw with Colorado. So they took 1 point away from Colorado, and now they are back home for a 2-game set this week. There is a match tonight at Furman, and then there is another one on Saturday. So if you have not come out to a Triumph game, here's your chance. You can double dip. Come see 2 of them in a week. I'll be there doing soccer supporter hooligan things. Come out and see us. We'd love to see you. Let's take a break. Hour number 2 is just around the corner. We got a bunch of things we need to get into. The Jim Harbaugh story has taken a twist and a turn. We'll tell you what it is when we come back and let Lonzo pop that Scarlet O a couple more times on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
All right, Rob. So how am I supposed to do it?
Wide shoulders.
What? Out,
There it is.
out like this?
Out there.
Yeah, but that's
When you start hitting me with in here, it got a little dicey.
that hurts my hiatal hernia. No, actually it does. I just did that and it hurt right there. So it's like, because I am a mess. I haven't lost my smile yet.
So I went downstairs yesterday.
To see if there was cake left.
There was no cake left.
Of course not. Were there crumbs? Did they already clean it up?
No, the tray was
Okay.
there.
Okay. All right. So we have remnants.
My celebration was taking my finger, scooping off a little bit of the icing, and that was my celebration. And for the record, the icing was phenomenal. I just found out the cake came from Holly's Cakes, and I will be giving Holly's Cakes a try, because if the cake was as good as the icing, it's going to be a good cake.
I am extremely surprised that there was any icing left. Scavengers downstairs, man. I mean, it's like hyenas or something. This is, I mean. Kevin, there are times that I'm really concerned about you.
ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The PvP, Voices of Baseball, is a podcast about the art and craft of play-by-play, and we're in the middle of an amazing season. Catch up on episodes with Joe Buck, Joe Davis, Pat Hughes, and more, and learn along with me, Matt Spiegel, how the job is done.
It's not just home run Bryce Harper in the Phillies league. To really do it justice, you got to widen the lens. What does this home run mean?
The PvP, Voices of Baseball. I bring you the people who bring you the game. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
The 4th annual Bourbon and Bacon Fest, benefiting Upstate Carolina Adaptive Golf, is Friday, September 22nd at the Foundry at Judson Mill in downtown Greenville. Treat your taste buds to over 100 bourbon and bacon-inspired food from many restaurants. Tickets at bourbonandbaconfest.com.
Back to school is on, and Staples has great prices on everything you need for your best year yet.
Would you have said that to Lex Luger back in the day? Would you said that to Ric Flair back in the day? There's some guys you just don't say that. Tugging on Superman's cape, spitting in the wind, all that kind of stuff. Leave my hair alone.
You don't pull the mask off the old Red Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Da 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 da.
Handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times.
Digga-digga-doo, 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 digga-digga-doo.
We're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
You're like MJF, Kevin. I don't know if the flattery is real or not, you know. Although tomorrow, when we go over the card for Wembley, I think it's out there what's going to happen in that main event. We're going to see a reunion. Are you selfieing over there?
No.
Okay, because it looks like, I mean, you went for the selfie angle there. I'm just saying. Ooh, there's a remix of Sandstorm, apparently. No, Kevin, I'm not aware of too many things. I know what I know, if you know what I mean.
No, but Skrilla, I will hear it tonight, I assume, yeah?
Ooh, I can't spell either. Awesome.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. It is the Fan Upstate. How do you do, Upstate South Carolina? How do you do, America? What up, world? Hope everybody's having themselves just the loveliest of weeks. We are just about halfway through. I don't mean to alarm anyone. But it is college football week 0, ladies and gentlemen.
I know what you're doing here. You're trying to lessen the thing by calling for it.
I didn't call for it.
Okay. All right.
I wouldn't dare.
We've got college football. We've got high school football.
Yeah.
And NFL preseason.
Birds Rebels got a big win Saturday night against high school. Of course, their mascot is the
Huskies.
Yes, it is. Burns went up to Charlotte, North Carolina. Took care of business, 24-9 winners. It got a little dicey, I'm not going to lie to you. Got a little dicey in the late third, early fourth quarter. Huff found themselves just a little bit and tried to make a run of it, but Burns was able to pull away late. How about it, ladies and gentlemen? 2-touchdown performance from a freshman running back named Trey Segura. Trey Segura, that's Trey space Segura, was a freaking stud in this game, dude. 85 on the ground, had like a 45-ish yard touchdown reception off of a tunnel screen. You don't see the tunnel screen anymore. The tunnel screen can get dicey. Yes, indeed it was, because when he took it 40-plus to the hizzle and punched it through on the tunnel screen, it was all over. It was all chicken but the gravy, as the saying goes. I don't know why the saying goes, but it does.
Yeah, that's the
It's
okay.
all chicken but the gravy.
All right, it just doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying that's the phrase. Anyway, Burns is on the road week 2. They'll be at Chapman in Inman, South Carolina. How far is Inman, South Carolina from me? I've actually not been to Chapman High School yet.
I've been to Chapman, but it's a long time ago, so I
Okay.
don't remember. I'm sorry, I can't help you there. I'm sure many of the fine people on the stream or the text line could let you know where.
I'm about to
Inman is.
find out.
Joe says it's 45 minutes. 45 minutes from where? From here, or from his house?
It is. Oh, it's 37 minutes from my house. That ain't bad.
All right, where's it
Better
at?
than the 2.5 hours up to North Charlotte.
Where's it at? Is it north, south of here? Is
It
it?
is due north of Lyman. Like you take 29 to Lyman, then you get on 292 and go due north. Or, and now that I've seen this on the map, this is what I'm doing, Lonzo. You can take, what is that? 920? No, excuse me. Yeah, 920 north. It will drop you off at the site of the Albino Skunk Music Festival.
What?
Yep.
What? Bluegrass. Gotta
Yep.
be bluegrass. You think?
100%.
Yeah.
No question.
Albino skunk. That's bluegrass.
Yeah, it looks like it. Then you stay on that road. It takes you north past Little Chicago, South Carolina.
Did not know that place existed.
Didn't know that was a thing. And then it'll take you over to Chapman, which is just outside of Village Greens Golf Club. And I will tell you that right next to Chapman High School is a restaurant called Granny's Kitchen. So my question, though, is do I stop in Little Chicago for a pizza, or do I huff it on over to Chapman High School and stop by Granny's Kitchen for a little country fried steak?
I think
when I go
there's
on the
one
road,
of
I gotta
those.
eat.
Pretty sure there's one of those near Dorman. I've seen the sign for grannies over there.
Okay.
A lot of grannies though. Some of them wield canes, according to Arn Anderson. But I go get you some grannies, man. You
I
can't go
think
wrong
that's the way
there.
to play it.
Yeah.
But I see, my question here is Little Chicago. Is it Little Chicago, or is it just like some dude from Chicago built a house and called it Little Chicago and now there's a gas station next door?
Is it dangerous, or do they just have pizza?
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, I don't know.
Little Chicago. Let's see here.
Again, I've lived here 26 years. I've never heard of Little Chicago.
Me either. Kevin is saying Broncos in Inman is the best place
By the
to
way-
eat around there.
By the way, Kevin's absolutely right. I love Broncos.
Broncos?
It's
is that the play?
it's a Mexican
Ooh.
restaurant.
I gotta tell you, I
I didn't know they had one. I'm guessing it's the same as the Broncos in Woodruff. If it is, then it's good.
Look, I love Mexican. Not necessarily the best play when you're going to sit in a press box for 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Well, it's okay for
It
you.
just is what it is.
No, it's okay for you. It's not okay for everybody
No, bro,
else.
I'm almost 40 years old. When it hits, dog.
Is that what happened last week?
No. We had a piece of equipment I had to do. with.
Okay, because suddenly you just disappeared, and it was like I just happened to be in
No,
the
let
room
me
when
tell
that
you what-
happened. It was
all right, let me
like,
tell you what happened.
oh no.
Normally, when they go to timeouts, 60 seconds, that one was a 30. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I had plenty of time because the bathroom was literally right by the press box, like right by our little studio booth. So I'm like, oh, I got time. I come back and I hear Sam Clark trying to call the play, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you could hear the fear, like oh, he's not going to make it back.
I thought I had 60. I had 30. Turns out 30, not enough time.
I have that problem every Monday through Friday, 9 to 12. But if he doesn't make it back, I'm good.
Well,
So
yeah, see, here's the problem with the play-by-play. The problem with the play-by-play is, other than halftime, nothing in the game is a hard timer, right? And when I have to drive 2:15 to get to the stadium, Your boy knocks back a couple of Monsters and a Gatorade Zero on the way. When I'm calling a home game, I don't drink anything all day until we're in the box. Now we get the box, I'm knocking back like water after water after water after water during the game. But on the drive up, just knocking back Monsters and Gatorade Zeros to get me ready. And so we got through the first half, and I'm like, no problem. Second half started. I'm like, oh, this is not good. Once you break the seal, it's over, man. Once you break the seal, it's over. Once you break the seal, you are locked in. And I broke the seal at
By the way,
halftime, and it was over.
There is no restroom in Burns' press box.
That is correct.
So you got a little bit of a trek for you.
Well, and I figured it out with Burns, which is, and I'm not exaggerating, literally, I do not drink anything. After the show's over on Friday, I will not drink anything until kickoff. Now, at kickoff, I will have a bucket of ice water, but nothing till kickoff. Texas said, let's see, Tiger Pal Rachel said, there is nothing in Little Chicago. Texter said, Little Chicago is a bump in the road. And the texter said, yeah, it's all the same Broncos. I've been here 35 years and never heard of Little Chicago. So Broncos looks like the play.
All right. Josh says, if you want a good Southern hot dog, you need to stop at Scoop Dog's Diner.
What's the difference between a Southern hot dog and a South Carolina hot dog and a hot dog?
And that's what I want to know. Is it cooked Southern style? Whatever that is.
I mean, Southern style is deep fried.
I was going to say, do they bread it, the hot
Deep fry
dog,
the
and
hot dog?
deep fry it? It's possible. And serve it with gravy? It could be.
All right. Let's get some Sprots in here real quick on the Rob Brown Sports Talk Radio Show.
We're just talking about sports. We're talking about Burns. I mean, you were there and everything.
Burns v. Chapman Friday night. Texas said Chapman off straight out Compton Bridge Road. Get some, baby. Jack move.
All right. So maybe read that in a different way and it might make sense. I don't know.
Chapman off straight out Compton Bridge Road. Get some, baby. Jack move.
All right. So autocorrect or just read it NWA style.
Texas said they have built a whole new Chapman High School, Alonzo. So the one you probably went to is now Mabry Middle School. Inman is like in between Boiling Springs and Greenville.
Yeah. I've been there, but I haven't been to a high school in like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years.
Texas says Little Chicago is just an intersection.
Like Gray Court. Okay.
I guess. All right. Let's talk about this Jim Harbaugh thing real quick. Sorry, that was your job.
Yeah. I'm not saying his name.
I didn't think you would. Jim Harbaugh
close your mouth, Jim. Just close your mouth, dude.
He does spend a significant amount of time looking confused.
Every time they show him on the sideline or anything, it's just I mean, maybe he's having sinus problems, or maybe he's just holding his nose all the time because he lives in Michigan. I don't know, but if you breathe it in your mouth, you're still breathing that stuff in, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Harbaugh will be sitting out 3 games this season. Remember, it was initially going to be 4. Then the deal with the NCAA came off the table. Now, Michigan has decided that they are going to what's the word I'm looking for? Self-punish?
Impose?
Impose, that's it. Self-impose.
I mean, is it? They're just the management is punishing him. I mean, yeah, it's for lying.
3-game penalty for Jim Harbaugh. He will be sitting out for the massive showdowns against ECU, UNLV, and Bowling Green.
You know,
all of those at the house, by the way.
There was a mentality back in the day where you could throw in a team like App State in there and thinking the same thing about them. And we know how that went. So maybe I'm speaking for myself and many others who are wearing the shirt or a similar shirt. Maybe he will have that experience. Maybe that team will have that experience with one of those teams. If Bowling Green were to upset Michigan, wow.
I'll tell you, listen.
I'd go right out and get a Bowling Green jersey. I'm never wearing an App State jersey because they're represented really well on this station.
I will tell you this, and I'm
not even
serious.
sure he's in the country. So, I mean,
I'm dead serious. Watch out for those East Carolina Pirates, dude. Week 1, When a
Wait,
team hasn't
is-
really
is
developed
Skip
its
Holtz
full
still
speed
there?
chemistry yet.
if Skip Holtz ain't there anymore, then no.
I would keep an eye on those EC Pirates under Mike Houston. Mike Houston, a 102-49 overall record, a combined 6 conference championships, 1 FBS bowl victory, and a national title in 12 seasons as a lower level collegiate head coach. I might keep an eye on that ECU program, fella.
So he knows how to win. He knows a thing or two.
Not afraid to go on the road. I like it. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but for a team that is going to be working on finding time and chemistry, rhythm, et cetera, with, by the way, a new quarterback under center in order to do it, that's going to be a good Michigan team. Again, Lonzo and I both have Michigan in our Final Four playoff teams. I have them as an undefeated 13-0 and Big Ten champions. Lonzo has them as an 11-1 squeak in 4th place team. Either way, we both think they're going to be pretty good behind J.J. McCarthy at the QB, but Jim Harbaugh out. There's going to be distractions. Like, that's all they're going to have asked of them all week. Hey, guys, how do you feel about coming out Saturday without Jim Harbaugh, without your head coach, without the mastermind? Like, it's going to be distractions. Keep an eye out on that ECU program.
All right, so one game without your head coach is one thing. It can happen here and there, but 3 on that third game, I'm just, if you're a player and you're used to seeing mouth agape dude on the sideline and he's not there, suddenly you're like, what do I do? You can't even pull it off, man. It's just it's only he can do that.
He just looks surprised
Yeah,
all the time.
He does.
Always surprised. So Michigan imposes a 3-game suspension of Jim Harbaugh. That got reported yesterday, and we kind of know the lead up here. He was working on a deal with the NCAA. The NCAA said, here's what we want you to do. We want you to admit what you did wrong. Jim was like, yeah, for sure. We got it. And they said, cool. This piece of paper says that you had improper contact with recruits during COVID restricted periods. And Jim went, fine, signed. And then they said, and then this piece of paper says that during our investigation of that improper conduct, you told us incorrect information. You lied. We need you to sign it. And Jim went, no, I'm not signing that. I'm not signing that. I didn't do that. Right? Now, maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. I don't know that there is a way for us to know. The only person who knows that, frankly, is Jim Harbaugh. But the NCAA basically said, hey, look, dude, you gave us improper information. We feel like you did it on purpose. If you sign this piece of paper, you're going to take a punishment. It'll be 4 games. And by the way, as we mentioned, those 4 games are the 3 we mentioned plus Rutgers. Oh, yeah, also at home. 4-game homestand to open the season. Those 4 games, all at home, all against lower tier opponents. And Jim said, no, I'm not signing it. So the NCAA said, cool, no settlement. We will conduct a more thorough investigation. Now, that means that they are going to be going to Michigan. I suspect they're going to be pulling emails. They're going to be pulling text messages. They're going to be pulling phone call records. They are going to find out if Jim Harbaugh told anybody, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Because if they can find one instance where he said, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this, but I'm doing it anyway, and they can prove that he lied, Harbaugh could eat a banhammer for a year from the NCAA.
Maybe he could send out a phone call to recently retired once Michigan quarterback Tom Brady, also a cheater and a liar.
Bro, you want to cover for a minute?
Yeah, and get him to give him some advice, possibly.
So here's the question mark. Why would the University of Michigan decide to go ahead when they don't have to and sit Jim Harbaugh down for the first 3 games of a season where Michigan very much has national championship hopes? The answer to that is very simple. They are trying to up to the NCAA. They are trying to go, hey, NCAA, hey, Charlie, Hey, guys, look at us. We're self-reporting. We're self-imposing. We're doing this on our own so that if and when the NCAA wraps up this investigation, if they do find out and do believe that Jim Harbaugh did indeed provide false statements intentionally, a.k.a. lie, if they decide to bring that hammer down on Jim Harbaugh, and if they decide to, and I believe this is absolutely a possibility, swing for the fences in terms of a 1-year suspension from football, what does Jim Harbaugh do in that situation? All right, well, I'm going to head out. See ya. Later. Adios. Deuces.
Well, maybe they don't want them investigating and finding something that's worse than what he's already been accused of and having to lose victories.
No one cares about losing victories. No one cares. No one cares. No fan has ever gone, well, we were 10-2, but now we're 0-12. Nobody's ever done it.
It would be a blight on the wonderful reputation of that team up north.
Here's the problem.
Blight.
If Jim Harbaugh eats a 1-year suspension from the NCAA, Jim Harbaugh is going back to the league. All right. If Harbaugh can't coach for a season in Michigan, which is a massive disruption to any organization, don't believe me, ask the New Orleans Saints. When Sean Payton had to sit out for a season, the Saints kind of lost their way a little bit at that point, right? They're still recovering from that, in my opinion. Jim Harbaugh would go to the league if he can't coach for a year because he knows what those ramifications look like long term. And so Michigan is basically creating a time served buffer, right? Like if you, I've got somebody very close to me that's an attorney. And so I follow up. Also, I'm just a dork and I follow court cases because they're very interesting to me. And very often what you'll see when a sentence is handed down, it'll be like 1 year with credit for X amount of days time served, time that you were already in jail leading up to your trial, and they count that as jail time served. So you might get a 1-year punishment, but you were in jail for 2-3 months leading up to the trial, and they say you're 12 months with 3 months served already, you're going back for 9, right? So they're basically trying to create a time-served caveat here. So if the NCAA comes back next year and they go, ban hammer, 1 year, you're out, Jim. Michigan can go, wait. We already suspended him for 3 games. Like, can we just get half a season? Can we just do half a season? 6 games. Therefore, Jim can still do practices and recruiting and camp and scrimmages and all that, miss 6 games and be ready for the back end of the season. Because if he's suspended for a year and he can't do all those things, that program takes a mighty step backwards. And the popular thought right now is Jim goes, screw this. Hey, John, you need a new offensive coordinator. I'm available. Hell, maybe he goes back to the head coaching ranks. I think there's going to be a few jobs open in the NFL next year. And many of them would jump at the chance to bring Jim Harbaugh back. Without a doubt, right? So Michigan is basically just CYAing right now. They're just trying to cover themselves up so that they can have any excuse to try to bring down a 1-year suspension if that's what the NCAA goes with. And by the way, there's a lot the NCAA will put up with. That seems like one that they will have some teeth to enforce. So if they come back with a 1-year ban hammer on Harbaugh, Michigan can go, well, he served some time. Can we maybe just do 6 games? Right? Now, Rob, why wouldn't they do the 4-game suspension that the NCAA was willing to settle over? It's because in week 4, they got Rutgers, their first big-time college football opponent, the State College of New Jersey. Now, I'm not saying Rutgers is capable of beating Michigan, but hey, any given Saturday, am I right? You're going to bring Harbaugh back because here's the thing. No matter what happens in the future, you've still got to coach to win this year. Michigan is absolutely in the driver's seat for a playoff spot. They've got 2 games, Penn State, Ohio State. If they go 2-0 in those games, they are a 100% lock for the playoff. If they go 1-1 in those games, it depends on what one they get and which one they don't. But Lonzo said it doesn't matter. If they're 11-1, they're going bowling, right? So Michigan has to find the balance of trying to create some time served in case the NCAA brings the ban hammer down on Jim Harbaugh next year and goes full year suspension so that he does not ditch them for the league, for the shield, but also set themselves up the best they can to still try to win a natty this year. And having him back for that Rutgers game in week 4 is massively important to them. So that's it. That's the basis. Try to do enough to keep him around for another year, but also just do a little bit less than you might think so that they are prepared to beat Rutgers. Because here's the thing. If Harbaugh eats a ban next year, but he eats a ban coming off of a natty, it's going to feel, it's going to lessen the blow a little bit. You know what I mean? It's just going to pull a little bit of that sting out from your dude ditching you to go to the show. Because he's ditching you to go to the show, but he's leaving behind a natty in his wake. And that ain't bad. Let's take a break. My name is Rob Brown. The Great Lonzo's on the ones and twos. We got a bunch more we need to get into on the radio broadcast today. We need to talk. Well, we did talk some baseball earlier in the show. You know what? I'm going to vent a little bit when we come back. Why not? I got a broadcast thing I want to get to, just because I'm curious. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
Why is it? This is consistently stopping there. That was weird. Don't believe I double hit the button, but maybe I did. Isn't that kind of weak?
Thursday, sunny high 92, Friday, sunny high 98, Saturday, sunshine 98, and then on Sunday, slight chance for storms late night 91. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wuczynski on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 79.
An offense awakening.
Offense awakening.
As the official ticket marketplace of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of tickets available for every game. Whether you're cheering on the Panthers at home or away, Ticketmaster has you covered.
Got some wind going on out there.
360-degree preview of your seats to make sure you have the best
See the video I sent you? It's a really short one.
Yeah.
I think it's doctored, but still, it's messed up. Poor little kid. Although you might have enjoyed it. You hate kids. Wow. Sincere.
My rage is through the roof right now, Lonzo. Right now, I am infuriated by what we just saw.
Why do you sound like Macho Man? Oh, I know what you're talking about now. It's still out there, too.
The building we're in has another little shopping complex right next door. In that complex, there's like a dentist office. There's a chicken salad restaurant. And I think there's like one more thing over there. It doesn't matter. It's a joint parking lot, but over on the other side, there's a row of 6 spaces, 7 spaces that are the closest to those buildings. And during the break,
Those spaces are wider than the spaces on
Yeah.
that side, by the way.
there's zero excuse. During the break, a woman pulls up in whatever car that is. I don't care.
She gangstered, yo, but
She
she's
pulled
not in the
into-
lines. Yeah.
Not in the lines,
Yeah.
Lonzo. She is a foot and a half into the other space.
I don't
and
know.
not
Might be a little bit further than that.
Not even the whole space. She pulled in diagonal, so she has eaten up an entire space on the right, but then the front left quarter panel of her car, I'm talking the entire tire, the mirror, and her driver's side door and half the damn engine block are in the space to her left as well. That's not even, that's infuriating in and of itself, but that's not even the infuriating part. The infuriating part is she got out of her car. She walked up to the sidewalk. She turned around, looked at the parking job and went, that's fine, and just left it there to go into one of these businesses.
And we could see her face. There wasn't really a lot of concern on her face. She was like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm out. Yeah.
Dude, you are a bad person, ma'am.
You only have so much time for lunch, Rob. And, if you spend your time trying to adjust your vehicle, then you've wasted another 5-10 minutes especially when you park that bad, then you don't have enough time to enjoy your meal.
Maybe just do it right the first time. And then maybe recognize that if you can't park between, look, guys, listen, if you park on the line, I'm going to look.
You mean like the car that's two down from it, who also is over the line?
That lady's over the line too.
Yeah.
But that's less egregious.
It's not as egregious as
It's not as egregious. And listen, I'm not going to lie. Ordinarily, I expect to see a certain brand of car and the certain person who drives that brand of car, and that one matches up pretty well. All right. But this is an everyman's car. This is not some highfalutin Karen. She's driving an everyman's car, just a regular old vehicle.
She absolutely could be a Karen because
That's 100% a Karen job, because you know what a Karen is? You know what the definition? A Karen is someone who cares about themselves more than anyone else in their vicinity.
Okay.
I am the most important person here. I am more important than the waiter. I'm more important than the bartender. I'm more important than the other patrons. In this case, I'm more important than anybody else who might need to park in these spots. I am more important than anyone else who might need to park here. This woman just parked a quarter of her car in a totally separate parking spot, got out, looked at it, and then made the active decision to leave her boat parking job it's fine. It's fine. I'm good. Who cares if somebody else might need to park close? Who cares if somebody pulls up in a walking boot and crutches, and they might need to have the smallest amount of walking space possible, and I have just screwed them because I'm in a hurry to get my chicken salad, so I'm just going to leave it here, and everybody else can suck it. All right?
Yeah, she might actually sound that way. Would you be okay with it if she was just running in and running back out?
No!
Because she's still in wherever she went.
First off, at the bare minimum, you suck at driving. How do you miss a spot? You park the white car over to the left.
Yeah,
I know y'all can't see it.
Yeah, you could see that. Yeah, that's a minor oversight.
The white car over on the left, it's like, all right, I just got to run in, run out. I parked on the line, but like I'm going to be right in, right back. Like if that now, in fairness, that car has been here for the entire duration of this and the last segment, so screw them too. All right, but the person in the silver car parked there as we were going to break. How long was that last break? 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes.
It's the longest break we have. Yeah, it's at least 5 minutes.
So
yeah.
a 5-minute break. Okay. They parked there at the beginning of that break. That's 5 minutes. We are now 5 minutes deep into the segment.
Whoa. Dude, I didn't realize you posted that.
Yeah. Screw that lady.
Wow.
That is 100% a call out. I'll tell it to her face.
Way to block out how'd you do that?
A little markup feature. You just get a little marker and then you just draw a little line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
I blanked out the license plate because I'm not an evil person.
Well,
Let me put it this
there
way.
are degrees to evil. There really are.
If one of my friends showed up and parked like that, I'd be like, dude, go move your car. Don't be a jerk. That's being a jerk. All right. You understand how much better the world would be if some people who were jerks just stopped being jerks? Just stop being a jerk. That's a jerk move.
She's trying to enjoy her chicken salad right now. And it's like, oh my gosh, someone posted something. That's my car.
That is trash behavior is what that is. Trash behavior is what that is. It's ridiculous. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my Twitter account, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. I 100% posted a picture of it. Because the world needs to call out crap behavior. It just does. And that is crap.
I hope this ain't the thing that takes Rob down.
Lonzo, imagine that you went to a place. Your knees jacked up. Imagine you went to a place and you were like, all right, I know I got to walk, but like, let me park. You actually said that you might not be able to do a Comic-Con you've been looking forward to because of the amount of walking you would have to go through, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to get to do that.
Right. So imagine you showed up and all you wanted was a chicken salad. And you're like, I got to go in because I got to make multiple orders. Got to bring home some for your better half, Miss Lisa. Got to bring home some for the lovely family. Got to bring Pappy his order, right? Got to take care of the clan. And you're like, let me as long as I can park close, I'm fine. And then you pull up and you see these two jack wagons who have eaten up between two cars. 4 parking spots are eaten up by 2 cars because these 2 people are more important than anybody else. And imagine, Lonzo, you with your gimp leg got to park way out here in this other space. That's 60 more feet of walking you wouldn't have to do if either one of these people, especially the lady who got out, looked at her crap parking job and went, yeah, I'm good.
All right. So admittedly, there was a time where I would be very angry about it. Now, when I see that sort of thing, I think it's hilarious, and I send a picture of it to Rob because it brings me pleasure knowing how mad he's going to get. So
listen, if you're on the line, I'm gonna look and go, you suck. But whatever. You know what I mean? Like I can still park next to you. It's gonna make one or both of us very uncomfortable, but like whatever. In my old car, in the Jeep, before I got the new rig, in the Jeep, if you were parked over the line on your driver's side door, I was tucking in close, baby. I was tucking in real close, and I was getting a picture of your car before I walked in the store in case I came out to find a big dent on it. All right? I know exactly who I'm calling. This right here, there's not enough room to pull in tight and screw her into the parking spot.
I'm waiting to see her come out and throw some birds your way before she gets in the car, because that would be great. That would be great.
Because I'm right. Texture said, I'm starting to understand what Ray means about the show. Oh, stop. Every segment's been about sports so far. This is the first not sports thing I've done.
Come on, you are Ray. We know it.
Yeah, that probably is Ray.
We know you're Ray.
I probably should memorize Ray's number just in case.
It's all right. It's okay, Ray.
Ray. Hey, Thursday Night Football starts up in a couple of weeks. And Thursday Night Football is going to have a new little toy, new little wrinkle added in. Going for it on 4th down has become much more popular over the past couple of years. In fact, statistically speaking, we have seen teams going for it in the last couple of years at almost a double-digit percentage. In 2022, 5 teams attempted at least 30 4th down conversions. 2 did it more than 40 times. 3 seasons ago, only 3 teams attempted it at least 30 times. Only 9 teams in total went for fourth down at least 30 times in any one season between 1984 and 2013. Between 2014 and 2018, 0 teams went for it on fourth down 30 times or more. Last year, 5 teams did in one season versus 2014 to 18 where 0 did it at all. So going for it on fourth down has kind of become a bigger deal, right? A much more popular idea amongst coaches. One of the biggest things that we have gotten into discussed in the past, I'm a big fan of gauging coaching outcomes using analytics, numbers, facts, statistics, right? Because at the end of the day, if I can narrow it down to there's a 57% chance that this risk works, I'm much more likely to go for it. And if I can get the number down to where there's a 32% chance this risk works, I'm much less likely to go for it. I am 100% down with analytics. Moneyball is real, and Moneyball was Moneyball for a reason. At the end of the day, the only thing in the universe that cannot lie to you is data, is numbers. Now, numbers can be manipulated, but numbers are numbers. They don't lie. 3 is 3, and it's 3 every time. Okay? It's a very simplified take, but it's true.
It's a magic number too, by the way.
I know, because we got to go get 3 this year.
Well, older people would get the reference, but you're right about that too.
So, this year on Thursday Night Football, the broadcast is going to incorporate artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is basically going to take every single variable into one equation. They're going to equate how many times this exact scenario has played out, how many times fourth down has been converted, how many times it hasn't. It's going to take into consideration length of fourth down, players on the field, personnel groupings, offensive efficiency in different spots on the field, yada, yada, yada. It's going to put together a number where it's going to say the best chance of fourth down conversion is if on third down they get to this line. We're going to have another line on the field. We got the yellow line for first down, and now we're going to have a whatever color line they decide to go with. And that whatever color line is going to say, if you want to go for it on fourth down, the best odds you have is if you get it to this line inside of the yellow first down line. I think it's awesome. I think it's great because it allows us to analyze coaches' decision-making up against raw numbers, up against raw data. And I think that's interesting, right? Because a lot of coaches are going to coach from the gut. A lot of coaches are starting to get into the numbers. But there's a second thing that intrigues me about this, Zoe, and that is this. If it's progressed far enough that Thursday Night Football and Amazon feel like putting it on the screen is something that viewers are interested in, that means that it's at least got some level of success rating to it. And if that's the case, coaches are 100% using this, right? Like coaches are 100% at the point where they are utilizing this as a tool. Now, before anybody sends that text and goes, Rob, will we ever get to a point where a football team decides to go with an AI head coach? I actually find that concept very interesting. Right? I do. I find imagine the sci-fi novel about a football team that hires the first AI football coach.
Yeah, the WWE already did this. It didn't work as an angle. The general manager.
Oh yeah, the anonymous general manager.
Yeah, which was a laptop. Yeah, it didn't work for them. It's not going to work for a football team.
I always assumed there was somebody sending emails to the laptop. That was the point of it.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. Either way, point is, I love the concept of the idea of a football team that hires an AI coach because an AI does not take, and this is why it will never happen. An AI can't take certain things into consideration. Momentum, emotion, adrenaline, whatever. It's just going to go, solid numbers say this. Whereas a football coach might look and go, Russ Wilson's got a hot hand. And even though statistically speaking, he's likely to convert this at a 65% rate, the dude is having a hell of a game right now. We're going to go for it. Right? Now, doesn't mean it's always going to work.
I just realized I need a nerd button. Because you just went big time stats nerds.
Nerd! I like the concept of it, but at the end of the day, calling plays is still going to be based on, again, momentum, adrenaline, situations, shock, injuries, whatever. And these are all things that I do not think an AI can take into consideration. I mean, I guess you could write a program where an AI like judges the decibel level in a stadium and can kind of figure out what the momentum, the energy in the stadium is like based off of that. But I assume that's distance from here, right? That's a ways off. So all that being said, point is, coaches are already making these AI decisions. Coaches already have somebody watching a computer and going, hey, Jim, the AI is saying that if we get to the 32-yard line, that our chances of converting on fourth down go from 32% to 66%. So let's go ahead, screen right, double and reverse, right? They've already got a guy doing all that. Now we just get to see it. And I think that's kind of cool. More AI in football. Let's go. Let's get weird. All right, let's come back and wrap up this show. Nope. Hour of the show. Then we got a whole nother hour. Then we wrap up the show. I got some more college football for you coming up, including first segment of next hour. I'm gonna give you my list of head football coaches that are on the hot seat right now. My list of coaches that have got to prove it this year or he gone. We'll wrap up this hour next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. And yes, Stream, she is still parked there. She has not left yet.
She is. She's still there.
She has now been in that spot for 17 minutes. What life decisions do you make that lead you to believe that that is okay?
ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running. Take it from Marco.
It's like it's 2 months away.
I'm still putting it in earlier.
All right.
I'm not going to get to that day and they go, I'm sorry.
Never had that happen, but it doesn't mean it can't, I guess. Yeah, it'll work. Thought I already had some nerd stuff. Or is that just too angry?
Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htb.com. Member FDIC.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless.
Someone's got to teach that worthless nerd how the world really works.
Oh, you got to go with the Revenge of the Nerds. Nerd.
I already had that. That's the other one. I'm listening to some other stuff. Yeah, I just wanted to see what this was. I mean, just calm down.
There it is.
That's not that.
That's not the one.
That's Luke Gallows. I already played the one from Nerds.
I'm in love with a nerd.
See, that's Ogre yelling nerd from Revenge of the Nerds. So I was like, I got to find a nerd sound. And then I like realized that I like have a nerd show that has a bunch of nerd stuff on it already. So I like already had a bunch of people saying nerds. Yeah, I saw that, Trey. Also, the boss down the hall was pulling some stuff out from underneath his office, and I told him I was waiting to see if the Little People's Court was under there, because that was still my favorite Hornswoggle thing of all time when DX got sucked into the Little People's Court underneath the ring. That was great. Rob is still angry over the lady, and she's still in
I'm
there.
infuriated.
It's like, come on, dude. I say when she comes out, you should moon her. It might get you fired, though. You probably shouldn't do that. So we're like coming back for like a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know. I prefer cherry nerds. Kevin says grape nerds are the best.
I'm gonna tell you right now, they make gummy cluster nerds now.
Do they have like nerds inside of them?
They're like a gummy, and they have nerds spring like wrapped on the outside.
Oh, it's on the out. Oh,
they're freaking good.
Oh, that sounds.
They're real good, and they have all the different flavors of nerds, but gummies covered in nerds. They're great. Yes, she is still parked there. It has now been 22 minutes. So this is not a run-in, run-out operation. This was an active decision to go do a thing, to go through a whole thing, and she just didn't care. Yeah. I wish she would poof somewhere else. Jerk move. All right. We got a few more things that I want to get to over the course of the show, but I screwed up the clock here, so it is a quick segment. I will simply instead tell you that when we come back, I'm going to give you a list of college football coaches I believe are on the hot seat, A, and B, the list of preseason coaches, All-American players has dropped. There are a few Tigers. There are a few Gamecocks on that list. I'm going to give you that list. Tell you who from your squad the coaches believed will be carrying the season, and we will do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Kevin, I am very tempted to write a note and go stick it under her windshield wiper. Very tempted. Now, I will tell you, I also, in moments of confrontation, take a kill 'em with kindness approach, so the letter would be far less vicious than I am on the air. It would very much be, with all due respect, ma'am, your parking job is inconsiderate. There are other people who may be suffering with injuries or other disabilities that you are making their life more difficult, and I'm not sure why. Please reconsider your parking strategy in future situations. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon. Signed, Concerned Citizen.
I think you should start it with "Dear Sir" or "Madam." So
Dear Sir
yeah,
or
so
Madam.
she doesn't get creeped out knowing that you know it's her.
You have over $10,000 in credit card debt? I'm Cindy Case, the certified debt specialist with accredited debt relief. And by making one quick free call to our specialist,
She comes out and there's a bunch of picketers around her and around her car.
You might not want that smoke, Rob. For the record, Rob's not a fighter. Never has been. Never been in a fist fight in my life. Got no interest in being in a fist fight. It sounds terrible. What I am going to tell you is that it's not going to stop me from calling out bad behavior.
I would tell you, fist fights aren't bad if you win.
I believe it.
Yeah, they're not.
I don't know, man.
I
I
mean,
feel
you
like
still
some
feel
people
some
have gotten
pain.
slugged in the dome and had a really bad time, even though you won the fight.
Unless you're a knockout artist. Just walk out. Boom, it's over.
That's 800-584-4433.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a hot day to find out that your AC unit isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialists will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business cool this summer. And get
No, I agree with that, Kevin. No one ever wins a fight.
That's a bunch of crap.
Scratch that. Unless you're getting paid for it, no one wins a fight.
I think you win a fight if you're about to die and you make it out alive, and you definitely were going to die and you won that fight and you were able to escape and live another day. I think you're a winner.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper, and you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com.
Trust me, I've been jumped by multiple assailants at once. The one thing they never took into account is how stinking fast I was. You know what makes you really fast? Having 7 or 8 guys after you. That makes you fly.
.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhins.com/JOY.
What, they don't do that anymore? Please excuse Rob. He's having a very bad day, so we kept him home for observation. He saw some lady park weird, and he's just going nuts. She's still in there, which makes, I mean, that's not, you don't take that long to
28
eat.
minutes now.
It must
She's
be.
having a dentist appointment.
Yeah, because, yeah,
She went to get them teeth cleaned.
you'd have been in and out with the chicken by now.
100%. I could have gone in, ate the chicken, and be out by now.
The other car's been in there too. They may like work there though. Who knows?
The lawsuit is based on the NCAA maliciously attacking his character through a completely false and highly offensive statement that was widely reported in the media and substantially and irreparably damaged his reputation. That's according to the law firm that represents Bush. Baseball, the White Sox fired top executives Rick Hahn and Ken Williams.
Yeah, this could backfire on Rob. We could have a picket line of Karens out there waiting for him
Bring
to
it.
come outside.
Bring every one of them.
No, don't. Well,
I will take all the smoke. If that is the side you elect to stand
all right.
on,
You're leaving before me, so yeah, go ahead.
you know that scene in Endgame where Cap is by himself and there's like Thanos' entire army and he takes and he tightens the shield because he's like, I'm going to fight to. That's me versus the Karens. I will tighten that shield and go to war with people who think that that is an acceptable form of behavior because it's not.
Wow, can't believe that.
I'm very passionate about this.
I was wowing on the fact that I was 30 seconds short and was able to get it in with 1 second left, and it actually played. Because sometimes you do that and just skips it. It says like, no. Kevin, come on, dude. Come on. That's just a little much. Just a little.
Listen up, sister.
Did it skip the ID? I swear it skipped the ID. Huh?
Steven said, Rob, show us where the bad Karen touched you. No. As I told Zoe during the break, and if you're not watching the stream, you should. At Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, and The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. if the entire world collectively decided that that parking job was acceptable behavior, I will stand against the world like Captain America against Thanos in Endgame. I will tighten the shield and be ready to go, because that is unacceptable, dude. It's just not okay, my guys. Can you look? I'm trying to show the stream. I don't know if it's going to be able to pick it up. There you go. You see over there in the middle. Wait till that light adjusts. This is why you got to come to the stream, people. Behind the scenes stuff you won't get anywhere else. All right, right.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
hard.
that. I'm not sure that's legal.
Right
so
there.
so I'm not doing
You
it.
can't see the license plate right there. That lady. Oh no. On site, my dudes. On site. It's just unacceptable. Let's get sports in here, shall we? I told you, going out.
You know what? I wish she would leave because we both keep looking, waiting for her to come back out. And she ain't left yet.
31 minutes she's been in that. No, sorry, 30. Yeah, 31 minutes she's been in that spot so far. 31 minutes she's been parked like that. College football coaches on the hot seat, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a list of handful of coaches that I believe could very much find themselves in trouble if they don't do something this year. They got to do something. And I'll try to keep it somewhat relevant to our region. There are a few that are on the outside, and I will start with, Lonzo, Mel Tucker at Michigan State. I really liked this hire when this hire got made. I really thought Mel Tucker was a guy that had the intensity, had the temperament to take Sparty to get back into competition in the Big Ten. No, they have not. Why is Mel Tucker still there? Because Jimbo Fisher. Well, the same situation as Jimbo Fisher. Michigan State would have to pay Mel Tucker about a $77 million termination fee if they let him go. On the flip side, Mel Tucker has been the definition of mediocrity at Michigan State. They're not bad. They're just not good. And the problem they have bumped into now is that while they are not bad, but they're also not good, they've kind of hit a point, Zoe, where you're watching Wisconsin get better. You're at a point where Michigan and Ohio State are back in the playoff picture. You're at a point where Penn State believes that they are ready to take the next step up and jump into that playoff picture. You're at a point where the Maryland Terrapins beat you last year by 2 touchdowns, and Talia Tagovailoa is expected to be even better this year. You're at a point where every team on your schedule has either caught you or is gaining more ground ahead of you. Wisconsin has gotten better. Michigan is in the playoff picture. Ohio State is. Penn State is. Hell, you lost to Indiana last year. I go back to 2021, the year before that. They lost to Purdue that year. Ohio State beat them 56-7 that year. But see, here's the problem. The problem is, Lonzo, they beat Penn State at the end of the year in 2021. They beat Maryland by 19 that year. They beat Michigan that year. So Mel Tucker's at a spot where it's like, hey, dude, 2022 wasn't good enough. And he goes, yeah, but the year before that, I beat Michigan and Ohio State in the same season, man. Can you really fire that guy? And can you justify firing that guy when you're going to have to pay him north of $70 million to say goodbye?
Yeah, that's a lot. $70 million.
That's a lot. Even when you go, like, money's not as big of an object as we make it sound like it is in college and professional football, that's still a lot. Now, as I've said about Jimbo Fisher, and shockingly, we're probably going to talk about Jimbo Fisher before the end of the segment, there's a tipping point with the buyout fee, right? Because alongside being good, but not great, alongside the occasional wins over Ohio State and Michigan, you're also losing to Purdue and Wisconsin. There's a tipping point where you go, okay, if we were good, right? If we were up there with Michigan and Ohio State, we'd be making this much money. But because we're down here in the next level, we're making this much money. And the difference in those two values will eventually be greater than the exit fee you have to pay a coach to get out of town. For Texas A&M, that number is probably smaller because they're in the SEC. Because they've got more boosters and more influential boosters that will likely be willing to throw more money into the pot. So the exit fee Texas A&M can afford to pay out is probably greater than the exit fee Sparty can pay out. But again, at some point, how long are you going to be good with 9-3? How long? And again, Florida State had to ask this question a while back. How long are you going to be good with 9-3, 10-2, and never taking that next step? At some point, you got to take the risk. I'll give you another one that I think is very interesting. How about Eli Drinkwitz at Mizzou? I think if Mizzou has another bad season, this could be a bit of a problem, right? The Tigers, the Columbia Tigers, the Mizzou Tigers, are a decade removed from their last appearance in an SEC title game. It was a decade ago. They were back-to-back at that point. Now, when that happened, Eli Drinkwitz ended up with a $2 million raise. Oh, wait, sorry, that was last year. That was last year that they decided to up the salary by a couple $1 million a year. My question is what Mizzou is doing good enough? They got some good wins last year, right? Hell, Mizzou has kind of been the wrench in the system for Shane Beamer in South Carolina. But then they turn around and they lost to Kentucky. They got blown out by Tennessee. They had losses to a bad Florida team. They lost to Auburn last year. They lost to Kansas State last year. They barely beat Vanderbilt. Now, again, why hesitancy? The hesitancy came from the fact that Mizzou was the team that came the closest to beating Georgia last year. 26-22 was that final out in Columbia. They gave Georgia everything Georgia wanted and just a little bit more. But they didn't win that game, right? And I think that's the biggest difference between him and Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker is polishing off Ohio State and Michigan every couple of years, which keeps you in the discussion. Eli's not. He's winning all the games Mizzou expects to win, but none of the ones he's not. It's again, at some point you got to take the step and go, we need to take the next step forward. And I wonder if Eli Drinkwitz is capable of doing that. How about this one, Lonzo? How about the Boomer Sooners? How about Brent Venables? Could Brent Venables be let go after just 2 years at the helm at the University of Oklahoma? Excuse me, at Oklahoma University, at OU. This is a team last year that I think we can say at 6-7 overall, 3-6 in conference, was disappointing. They took losses to Kansas State. They did lose to TCU. Of course, TCU would go play for a natty. They got shut out in the Red River shootout by Texas, 49-0. They would go on to lose to Baylor and West Virginia and Texas Tech before getting dropped by Florida State in the bowl game.
He's definitely on the hot seat. I'm curious. I'm curious about something though. If you are a Clemson fan, are you secretly hoping he gets fired because he can make his way back to your sidelines?
I don't think you can bring him back.
Why couldn't you?
I mean, I guess you could. Here's the problem.
He comes back as a consultant and then works his way back into being defensive coordinator.
Know, he might end up at Alabama at Nick Saban's school for broken coaches.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything like that, though. I mean, most of those guys couldn't get a job somewhere else.
Yeah, I think a lot of coordinators, very rare. In fact, I can't even think of one. Can you think of a time where a coordinator left, didn't do a good enough job as a head coach, and came back to take his coordinator job back? Because I think there's an ego thing at play there, right?
Patriots?
I'm talking college.
Okay, yeah, college. Yeah, I don't know.
There's like the Matt Patricias of the world, right? Matt Patricia went to Detroit. It didn't work out. He went back to New England. But in the college world, I honestly cannot think of a situation where I'm not saying there's not one. I just off the top of my head, I'm an idiot. I can't think of one where a coordinator left a position, failed as a head coach, and came back to that same spot. I think there's an ego thing, right? Because you're basically saying, yeah, I wasn't good enough, so I just got to come back here where I am. A lot of guys don't like to do that. But after the year Oklahoma had last year, I want to give Brent Venables a little breathing room, right? Because when Lincoln Riley took off and left Norman and headed out to USC, he took a lot of talent with him, including a Heisman winning quarterback in Caleb Williams. So I kind of think that Brent Venables gets a little bit of a pass for the 6 and 7 year last year. I will say, if he does not show improvement this year with a full off season in the back pocket, if he doesn't show improvement this year, I do think he gets thrown on the hot seat at the end of this year. I don't think he's on it this year. I don't think he gets canned at the end of this year. I think he gets a little breathing room to make up for what Lincoln Riley took away from Norman. But I don't think he gets another one after this one. Dino Babers, Syracuse, friend of the show, Dino Babers. I like Dino. Dino was fun, man. Dino on and off the radio was one of the most fun college football coaches I've ever talked to. Dino, for those of you that weren't listening during ACC Media Days, if you didn't hear that interview, Dino came over. We did an interview. He was going to take his headset off, and I asked him about one of his players, right? Asked him about one of his players. I was like, oh, no, I didn't ask him. I made a comment. I'm like, by the way, look after that kid. I like him. He puts his headset back on, and he goes off on a rant. He's like, I got to tell you, I like the NIL stuff, but it's wildly frustrating that my cornerback has an NIL deal where he gets all the free ice cream that he wants, and I, as the head coach, don't get any. It was hysterical. I love Dino, but I'm going to say Dino Babers is on the hot seat this year. I do. Babers has a 36-49 record in 7 seasons at Syracuse. He did have a 6-0 start last year, but then he dropped 6 of their last 7 last year. And as I have pointed out, it's only going to get tougher from here on out, right? It's only going to get tougher from here on out. This is a team last year that started off the year with wins over Louisville, UConn, Purdue, Virginia, and the Wagner Seahawks. Oh, and by the way, NC State. But then they turned around and dropped L's to Clemson. Close game, by the way. Real good game. On the road. They dropped one to Notre Dame. They dropped a close one to Pitt. They got blown out by FSU. They dropped one to Wake. They finally sniped Boston College at the end of the year, but they dropped one to Minnesota in the bowl game. The ACC collectively is better this year, and Syracuse's schedule is not easy. They got Colgate and Western Michigan out of the gate, but then they're at Purdue. This is a Purdue team that's got some upset wins at home over the years. That's not a guarantee. They've got Army. They've got Clemson coming to the house. Now, as I've told you when we talked about Clemson all year, I think Syracuse is going to be good this year. I just think the ACC is caught up. But Syracuse, the JMA Wireless Dome, is a tough place to play. If he pulls the upset over Clemson, he might buy some time. But then they're at North Carolina, at Florida State, at Virginia Tech, back home for BC, at Pitt, at Georgia Tech, back home for Wake. Syracuse could be a 6-6 team. They could be an 8-4 team. Anywhere in there. I think 8-4 probably buys them some more time. 6-6 probably does not. How about another one? I want to go up to Almost Heaven, West Virginia. Neil Brown. Neil Brown's another coach I have a personal connection to. Neil Brown was the head coach at Troy when I was broadcasting down in the Panhandle. We covered Troy on my station down in the Panhandle. We covered Troy when Neil Brown was there. I like Neil Brown a lot. Neil Brown's a good dude. I think he's a player's coach. He's a guy that a lot of players love to play for. When we had Troy players on, they loved Neil Brown. But Neil Brown's had back-to-back consecutive losing seasons. That's not good enough for West Virginia. The Mountaineers are restless at this point. And, oh, by the way, their athletic director is a cat by the name of Ren Baker. Ren Baker did not hire Neil Brown. He was not the guy in charge. There is a very good chance if Neil Brown goes for his 3rd consecutive losing season, Ren Baker pulls the plug. Why? Well, here's the deal. If you're the athletic director, the success or failure with the football program is directly tied to you, right? Every failing football program, we talk about the AD, not quite as much, but almost as much as we do the head coach. If you're a new AD and you take over a football program that's gone back-to-back L seasons and he does it a third time, you got to make the move. I think Neil Brown could be in trouble. And then finally, we got to end it with Jimbo Fisher. No surprise, right? Why is Jimbo Fisher still there after a 5-7 season? The answer is very simple. Because they owe him what we now call on this show, Lonzo, a buttload of money. A buttload of money. They owe Jimbo Fisher so much money because of the way they structured the exit fee. He wanted security. He got that security in the form of an exit fee. Last year, this A&M team lost at home to Appalachian State. This team lost on the road at Mississippi State. This team lost on the road at Alabama. Now, that was a hell of a football game, sure. But again, that was the Colts Super Bowl, right? They lost on the road at Willie B against South Carolina. They lost to Ole Miss. They lost to Florida. They lost to Auburn. They ended the year with a win over LSU at home. That was an enormous win for Jimbo Fisher because it took a 1-7 record in the SEC and turned it into 2-6. It's still atrocious. Y'all, I wasn't here when he got hired, but I very much said on the radio when he got hired that this was going to be a failure of a hire. Jimbo Fisher won a natty at Florida State, but it was won in spite of Jimbo Fisher, not because of Jimbo Fisher. It was won thanks to the heroics of a Jameis Winston and a Kelvin Benjamin and an incredible defense that Florida State had in 2013. Not Jimbo Fisher. Again, I was covering that team very closely. I was working in that area. I was covering that team for my station down there. It was not a good team. It just was not a good team. Scratch that. Coaching staff. It was a great team. In fact, if you put a competent head coach at the reins of that Florida State team would have dominated everybody on the schedule in 2013. It would not have been a last couple of plays against Auburn in the national championship. They'd have won that game by 27. But Jimbo Fisher just got carried. The only reason Jimbo Fisher is still alive at Texas A&M is twofold. Number one, another $75+ million buyout. Actually, if I recall correctly, his is like $78.5 or $79 million. A. Number two, what is Jimbo Fisher riding besides that exit fee? His recruiting class rankings were pretty impressive for a team that wasn't doing much, right? His recruiting class, in fact, he had the up until the beginning of this past off season, Jimbo Fisher he was sitting on the edge of having the number one class for this upcoming season. Now, he is still somewhere up in the rankings. According to USA Today, Texas A&M is sitting as the 6th best recruiting class for 2024. They have a 5-star, 13 4-stars, and 6 3-stars. They have 20 total commits for that class. They are checked in at 6th. They are tied in that spot with Tennessee. They are ranked behind Alabama, Florida, Auburn, Georgia, and Ohio State. So the recruiting of Jimbo Fisher is still good, plus an $80 million fee. But here's the thing. Zoe, if you bring in a top 10 recruiting class every year, and then you turn in results like, I don't know, theoretically, let's say 2-6 in the Southeastern Conference, 5-7 overall, there is that equation. Difference between the money you could be making versus the money you are making and the exit fee for Texas A&M with the amount of old money that's involved in that program, that number is significantly different than the number at, say, Michigan State. And I got to think they're getting closer to where pulling the plug and going another direction, because recruiting classes are great, but if you bring them in and go 5-7, who the hell cares?
Just because you bought a good team doesn't mean you can coach it. And we know, according to sources,
allegedly,
they spent a lot of money to get some players in there, and they ain't playing.
Texas said Jimbo Fisher was getting the best recruits money could buy. Hashtag third string water boy. Yep. Texas said, I agree. Fisher has been lackluster at A&M. His overall head coach record is phenomenal. Again, I think Jimbo Fisher rode that natty at Florida State to the best possible deal. And again, by the way, I was covering that team. Now, for the record, Jimbo Fisher's been a head coach for 13 seasons. He is 122-44. He has a 73.5% career win percentage. That's pretty good. The Noles under Jimbo Fisher were 83-23, which means that since he took over at Texas A&M, he has stuck an additional 21 losses onto the board, right? The 83 he won in Tallahassee are doing a lot of heavy lifting here, right? Now, again, I'm not saying he gets no credit for what he did in Tallahassee. He put together, but if it wasn't for Jameis Winston, he would not have a natty. He just wouldn't. Jameis saved that dude. That's just all there is to it. So, I am not saying now's the time for Jimbo. I am saying if he goes 5-7 again, if he goes anything less, honestly, I think then 7-5 this year. I think Texas A&M's got the booster money to flip. And you want to know why I know they have money to flip? SMU, we've talked about them a number of times. SMU's trying to get their way into the ACC alongside Stanford and Cal, right? Do you remember the deal that SMU proposed to the ACC for an invitation? Our boosters will float our athletic cost for 5 years. 5 years. The boosters will pay. The ACC doesn't have to give a dime to SMU with an invitation. They don't have to give a dime to SMU for 5 seasons. Lonzo, if SMU can come up with the booster money to float their entire athletic department without conference revenue for 5 years, you don't think Texas A&M can wrangle up a couple of oil barons to cover a $70 million check to get Jimbo Fisher the hell up out of Dodge? Come on, man. Of course they can.
Yeah, I hear tell there's quite a bit of money down there. They might be able to find some stuff in their couch to take care of that.
Oil, that is. Texas tea. They got plenty of Texas tea down there in the Colt. They're just going to find themselves $70 million worth of Earl money. Send it on down to Jimbo. Tell him pack up his saddle. Get the hell up out of town. That's the cowboy voice.
Also the boot barn voice. So,
Jimbo, you're not welcome around these parts no more. Right off into that sunset, cowboy. We'll see you when we see you. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, y'all.
Gables.
All right, guys, got a live read right here. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Maybe she saw that someone posted her picture online and she's scared to come out to her car.
Good.
Maybe that's what.
Good.
No, he doesn't mean that.
No, I absolutely do.
No.
People should be shamed. This country has lost its sense of shame. Nobody's
Shame and fear are
ashamed
two
anymore.
different things. She should not be afraid to come to her car.
No, she should be ashamed. All right, it has officially been 1 hour. It has officially been 1 hour that car has been left there. All right. So the in-out, let me grab a salad and get back to work strategy is out the window now. This was an active decision. And on top of that, if you're in a place for an hour, you know you're going into that place for a while. You might not know it's going to be an hour. But this wasn't, let me go grab a chicken salad and get back to work. You knew you were going in to either order and sit down for a whole meal or to go get your teeth fixed. All right? And now, look, all these other people having to park way on the other side of the parking lot. Unbelievable. An hour like that. This country has lost its sense of shame. We have no shame anymore. People need to be publicly shamed. I will stand on that.
That's a sturdy guy. He makes sure he has some space because it's hard to get out
How
the
did
car.
that guy get out of that car?
He did. He got out pretty quick, by the way. And
Man, good for him.
I think it's kind of the car's a lot higher than you think.
Okay, gotta
So
be.
he kind of like a step down. He was a shorter fella.
Anyway, yes. Lonzo's like, what if she saw her picture online and no, I hope she's ashamed. I hope she comes out and realizes that she needs to be ashamed of that parking job. That is pathetic. It's a move.
I hope she comes over here and asks to speak to the manager because I want to
Fine.
hear that.
Fine.
And
I'll go ahead and tell you right now on the record, I'm not apologizing.
I hope when she comes and asks to speak for the manager, I get sent down there because I want to be the manager.
Not apologizing. All right, let's get a couple more things. By the way, real quick, I do have two things that I got to clear up, or I guess I should say, via Twitter. I am going to start with a tweet that we got in from @MazeVillain, which, by the way, is a great name, who said, Jimbo blew out everyone in 2013. The Auburn game was close because their head coach knew the plays. In the second half, they changed things up, and FSU looked a lot better. But that season, the Noles dominated everybody. And I will comment on that because I did go back and look at their 2013 schedule. And in the regular season, MazeVillain is not wrong. Here were the point totals for Florida State that year. 41, 62, 54, 48, 63, 51, 49, 41, 59, 59, 80, 37. Now, there were, and again, I'm just going for the nuance here. There were 0 ranked teams on that schedule, all right? The wins were over Pitt before they were good, Nevada, Bethune-Cookman, Boston College, Maryland, at Clemson, NC State, Miami, Wake, Syracuse, Idaho, and Florida. None of those were at the time. None of those were like top 25, hell, top 10 programs, right? But it is still impressive that the average score for Florida State was in the upper 50s. If you take that 80 and take it out, it's in the upper 40s. That's pretty impressive. But again, the first game they had against top-notch talent in Auburn was a hell of a football game. Now, I've heard the conspiracy theory that Auburn knew the plays because some former coaches at Jimbo's were on the Auburn sideline. In fact, I think one of their coordinators was a former Jimbo guy, if I recall correctly. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was 10 years ago. It's a lot of fuzz. But when they went up against an SEC talent, it was a hell of a contest, right? But you're right, MazeVillain. They did dominate everybody in the regular season. So maybe I should give Jimbo a little bit more credit, right? Maybe I will give Jimbo a little bit more credit. In fact, I'll say it. I will give you that 2013 season was very impressive. Then they tried to run it back in 2014. In 2014, they ended up going to the playoffs and they played the Oregon Ducks. You remember what happened in that game? They got smoked. They played Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game that year. They won by a deuce, right? Undefeated in the regular season, did take overtime to knock off Clemson at the house. So they were on the downslide a little bit at that point. Then Jameis left. And you got to 2015 Florida State, a year in which they lost to Georgia Tech, a year in which they lost to Clemson. That was really kind of the beginning of the rise of the Tigers that year. And then they got smoked by Houston in the Chick-fil-A Bowl that year. At that point, Jimbo did not have the Jameis Winstons of the world. And even though that 2013 season was excellent, it was way downhill after that. Way downhill. Year after that, they lost to Louisville. Remember that boat race game against Louisville? 63-20 was the final. I remember that game very well. I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and my phone was blowing up. Again, I was working at the Panhandle, in the Panhandle of Florida. And my boss was texting me like, dude, are you seeing this? Because I was off that next week, or I think like 3 days. I was up in Nashville for the weekend for a wedding. And he's like, you sure you can't do a show Monday? Feels like this is kind of a big deal. They lost to North Carolina. They lost to Clemson in that year. They did beat Michigan in the Orange Bowl that year. But again, that was a home game for Florida State. It was all downhill. Florida State just kind of lost it because Jimbo Fisher basically started looking for his next job at that point and walking away. But you're right. You're right. Mace Villain. Florida State was dominant that 2013 year. Very dominant in the regular season. But when they went up against outside talent, that wasn't Florida, on the Urban Meyer downslide, by the way. When they went up against outside talent, it was not great. It was not great. But good call, good text. Second thing I need to handle. I love this. I just came across a Twitter account, Lonzo, called Florida Recruiting.
You mean an X account?
Yeah. I went to twitter.com, and on the website twitter.com, I found a tweet from a handle called Florida Recruit at FL Recruits. And let me read it for you, Alonzo, and just get your gut reaction. It says, and I quote, Billy Napier is using Urban Meyer's secret blueprint and is doing it well. Urban failed his first year on the job, then won the championship the next year. How? By bringing in the number one class. It all starts by recruiting, and Billy knows 100. 100? However you want to say it.
It's 100, I guess. I don't know.
I'm taking the word of the cool one.
I've been off the street for a while, yo.
Let me throw two things out at you real quick. Number one, Urban Meyer won 9 games his first year. All right? Let's not pretend like Urban was a pushover. Urban won 9 games his first year. Second off, can I tell you how hilarious it is to me that a Florida fan just said the secret blueprint is having the number one recruiting class? Like there's a bunch of coaches going, oh God, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think about the secret blueprint?
Hey man, you know how we could be number one if we're number one?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what the best way to be number one is?
Be number one.
It's the old joke. What's the best way to be a billionaire? Step 1, be a millionaire. Right? Unbelievable. I love that. All right. So I have given you my college coaches on the hot seat. Jimbo Fisher is my number one right there. I just can't imagine they don't go in a different direction at the end of the year if they don't get that done. They can't not. All right. Let's throw this out real quick, and we'll go more in depth on some of these players tomorrow. I just got this morning, but I will get more into it. The SEC coaches preseason all-conference team is out. These are the best players in the conference as voted upon by the rest of the coaches. Here's a list. Quarterback Jaden Daniels from LSU. Yeah, there's a reason that I put LSU in my playoff for. Jaden Daniels is a big chunk of it, and the coaches are on board. Running backs are Quinshawn Judkins from Ole Miss, Raheem Sanders from Arkansas. Wide receivers are Malik Neighbors from LSU, Ladd McConkey from Georgia.
Lad.
Old Ladd McConkey. And Juice Wells from South Carolina makes the first team offensive team. That being said, he is the only Gamecock on the starting offense or defense that is all SEC. Georgia's got McConkey, Brock Bowers at tight end, Tate Ratledge, and Amarius Mims on the offensive line, along with Cedric Van Pran. They ended up with, 5 all ACC players? LSU has Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors and Will Campbell on the offensive line, so 3 for LSU. On the defensive side of the football, no Gamecocks appearing on the first team. LSU has 3. Georgia has 5. Bama has 2. Special teams, 1 South Carolina player there. The kickoff specialist, Mitch Jeter, is on that list. On the second team, across the offense, no Gamecocks there. On the second team defense, no Gamecocks there. On the second special teams, no Gamecock there. When you go to the third team offense, Trey Knox at tight end for South Carolina is on the list. And your utility player, your all-around personnel, Dat Joyner, makes that list on the third team offense. On the third team defense, Tonka Hemingway on the defensive line, Marcellus Dial in the defensive backfield for South Carolina are both there. So the Gamecocks are represented on the coaches' all SEC teams, but the primary depth is on the second, actually really on the third team. My question mark here, Lonzo, is this. Is this representative of anything? Does this say anything about the program? It is now Shane's third year. Shane has 1 first-team player, 1 second-team player, the rest of them all third stringers on the all-SEC coaches poll. Does this say anything about the direction of Shane Beamer's program / recruiting, or do you give him another year or two before you see names start popping up mentioned amongst the SEC's best?
So if they are competing for the East this year.
They are not.
All right. Once they get out on the field, after all the speculation is done, and we see what they have, and they actually are competitive, then the fact that a bunch of guys didn't make this list, it doesn't matter. So is this indicative? Is that list indicative of winners? So if you have more than anybody else, are you a winner? I know in the case of Georgia, obviously. But does this list every year show, okay, these are the good teams because they have this many people on this list?
I think it is, right? Like,
what if you're just a good team, not full of a bunch of individuals, but a team that works well together when they get out on the field? No one really stands out a whole lot, but the team as a whole plays really, really well.
Name me the last great college football team where you didn't have individual standouts. You can't. Go back to USC, you got Bush and Leinart and White. You go back to Texas, you got Vince Young. You do something more recently with Clemson, it's the quarterbacks, it's the running backs.
Yeah, but you're saying all that, but without the rest of the team playing really, really well, it doesn't matter how good those individual guys are.
I don't disagree, but
it's not like basketball where an individual guy can get you victories.
Really, Tim Tebow.
Still, he still had to have a team around him. And how long ago was that?
But here's the thing. I'm not disagreeing with you, right? I'm not disagreeing with you. You are correct. You've got to have a good team with standout individuals. The problem is if you've got a good team, you end up having other names on this list, even if they're buried down on the third string.
If everybody's a star.
Wait, real quick. I do have to make. I did miss one. Kai Kroger is the starting punter for the all-SEC coaches team. That's what the texter said. How the bleep is Kai not the number 1 punter on the list? Absolute garbage. That is my bad, texter. He absolutely is on that list as punter number 1, along with Mitch Jeter on special teams. I blew that. My bad.
Shame.
I know. I'm embarrassed. I'm really bad at this job, you guys.
My gosh.
Really bad.
Forgot the kicker. How could you forget the kicker?
The punter.
I'm sorry, the punter. Punter. That's even worse.
Kai Kroger, for the record, is an absolute weapon. He is Mr. Flip the Field. Just so we're clear.
By the way, lady's still there.
hour and 9 minutes now. No, sorry, hour and 12 minutes now. She's been part like that. Somebody's getting a strongly written letter at this point.
Looks like you're going to have time to go down there. The show's going to be over. She's still going to be parked out there.
She said, I was about to fight someone. Kai Kroger might be the best punter in the country. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. Here's the thing. I agree with Lonzo. You got to have a good team based around individuals. I don't disagree. But you got to have some individuals, man. You just do. Does this say anything about Shane and the program, or is it something that gets overcome with success in time? I want your thoughts. We're back after this to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate.
All right, so Lady Park next to it. You want to park on the right side next to that because you got all that room to get out of there.
I got about 20 minutes of work before I leave to go interview Reggie Shaw. I very much want to go move the Bronco and pull it into that spot. I just can't do it with the new car.
That's a new car, man. You don't.
If I had the
that.
Jeep, I would 100% park in that spot, and I would get as close to her wheel well as I could.
Borrow a station vehicle. See if Chris will go do it. He's mischievous.
Listen to the season opener versus Tennessee Tech Thursday, August 31st at 5:30. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Taylor Bishotti, NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Buccaneers have decided to let Baker cook. Tampa named Baker Mayfield their starting quarterback Tuesday. Former first overall pick.
We have decided we're going to let Baker cook.
So that Swamp Kings documentary dropped yesterday, I guess, on Netflix.
Is that why Urban is all over the place?
Okay. And everybody that I have talked to said it is garbage. Like they left out everything anybody cared about.
So you were expecting to get some dirt, and you get
Here's
nothing?
the problem. I'm a big documentary guy, but we have to be honest now. These documentaries are now just they're just public relations now, right? Like when Netflix is paying Jerry Jones to do a Jerry Jones documentary, how the hell you think Jerry Jones is going to come out of that documentary looking?
I love the Cody Rhodes doc, by the way. It was really good.
I think the part that blew me away about that, I haven't finished it yet, but the fact that they were willing to go into AEW and talk about and mention the Young Bucks and all that shows that like at least they were trying.
Kurt Angle doc's coming out, and they're actually talking about his drug use, showing his luggage with drugs in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that I'm defending wrestling, but I'm just saying they know how to do a doc. Now, let's say, I know it's going to be hard to fathom. Let's say you're an Urban Meyer fan, Rob. Maybe you'd be okay with the documentary.
Yes, all those Urban Meyer fans. You know who's an Urban Meyer fan?
That blonde in the
that
blonde in the yeah, she appeared to be a fan.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Well played. Well played.
She could be CSC Karen, but we don't think that's where she went. We think she's at the dentist. I have a theory she is the dentist. I think she is the dentist, but that's just me. Just to, you know, I like the idea of a I could care less dentist. Probably not the dentist you want to go to though.
And somebody pulls up and parks like that, I'm gonna be like, go move your car. I'm not cleaning your teeth till you do. You can find a new dentist. I don't want people like you in my dentist office.
I disagree, Kevin. Have you seen a Hulk Hogan movie?
Thunder Lips.
Reese's. You can grab some of the boys and go out there and move her car. You know, just lift up the
Just
front of
lift
it.
it up and slide it
just
over.
to move it over so she's parked right.
My band did that once. We were playing a bar called Shalimar Cheers, and our drummer got blocked in, got double parked. And it was in a big car. It was like one of the old Ford Rangers, the real little ones. So the fellas in the band and a couple of our friends went over and lifted the back end of the guy's truck and spun it 90 degrees so he could get out. And then we just left a note that said, "Don't block me in again, signed the drummer," as if he just moved it by himself.
All right, time to ask Rob what the heck is going on, man. See, I didn't go with yo this time. I went with man because I'm versatile. All right, the first Xing yo is John Moxley.
Of course, AEW All In set to be at
There she
Wembley
is.
Stadium. No, that's not her. No, she was in like a floral dress.
Yeah, you're right. She was smaller. Never mind.
All In is what, Sunday at like 2 p.m. because it's in London.
I think it's 1 actually.
1 p.m.
Yeah, and so that means buy-in is like you can watch
Like
him.
noon?
Yeah.
So this is interesting because
Extensive coverage of this tomorrow on the Fight Club. By the way,
correct. 11:20. Be there. Fight Club with the great one. So yesterday, TK Tony Khan went in front of the media as they get prepared for this event. And he said that due to real world scenarios, there are still some events that are going to have to change. One of them, it looks like, is Ray Fenix is unable to acquire a visa/passport to make it to Wembley, which means his scheduled match with Mox that's going to take place probably gets him written out of the Stadium Stampede. Which means if you got to write that guy off, the best way to do it is have John Moxley just go absolute psychopath tonight on AEW.
That's not why he's trending.
Oh.
He is jogging. He stops. Someone passes to Dochi or whatever that is, or passes. I believe the kids say Blunt, and he takes a hit and then continues running.
Matt Riddle's gimmick incoming. I want angry Riddle.
Yeah, me
Kill
too.
you, bro.
All right. The next thing is Xing Yo is Ohio State University, the Ohio State University.
There it is. Honestly, don't know why it's trending, although I have to assume it has something to do with the Urban Meyer documentary that dropped. No?
Edric Houston from Georgia that's just committed to Ohio State.
That's a big pickup.
Which gets them another 5-star, I believe.
That's a real big pickup.
It was trending on my X. I don't know why.
Yeah, that checks out for you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I found an email just a second ago that was sent to Justin King. Justin King, I think I've got time to read this for you real quick, is the Associate Athletics Director for New and Creative Media at the University of South Carolina. And he just put on Twitter an email from a South Carolina student that he received. He said, "This might be the greatest email I've ever gotten." Let me quote it for you real quick, Lonzo. It says, and I quote from Andrew. Andrew wrote to the official athletics department at South Carolina, and I quote, "Good evening, Gamecock football. My name is Andrew Blank, and I am a junior here at USC. The Florida versus USC game is scheduled for October 14th, which will conflict with my birthday. However, it seems like there isn't a time set for the game. Because I am turning 21 and it is so important that this birthday is awesome for me, I am requesting that this game happens at noon or 3:30 p.m. Not only will this allow me to cheer on the Gamecocks at the beginning of the day, but I can party at night to celebrate both me being born and us inevitably beating Florida. To further persuade you, I'd like to bring into light the fact that my twin brother is also at USC, and he's turning 21 as well, and it wouldn't be fair to him either if his birthday was overshadowed by our win. Hopefully this will be factored into your decision on timing for this game. Best, Andrew." My dude wrote the athletic department and said, "Couldn't you move the game time in the afternoon so that I can celebrate my birthday that night?"
All right. So now
that is incredible.
All you whiners about what is a game in the middle of the day, you can blame the Twins. All right.
Damn it, Andrew. We wanted a night game.
It's all their fault.
Bro, if they put this game at 3:30, do you understand how ridiculous Andrew's going to look on campus? Two things. Number one, that's the end of the show. Number two, that woman is still parked there an hour and 30 minutes later. Y'all have a lovely rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again. Rashad Beard at 9:20, Fight Club at 11:30. We'll see you then on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate later. Yeah! It's actually Fight Club at 11:20. I was just talking too fast.
Yeah, it's all right. It would still be going on at 11:30, so you know. Wow, hard to believe she's still there. So she had to figure that she's going to be there that long.
Oh, yeah.
And she decided, yeah, I'm good with it.
It's just a jerk move, dude. There's no other way about it.
That's just I have to agree with you.
Michael, thanks for coming by, buddy. Good to have you. Steven, Roger, James, Kevin, Trey, all
No,
you.
don't thank Kevin. I mean, you know.
Callis just tweeted out that painting.
Yeah.
And it said, it's occurred to me the only thing better than having Jericho in my family is being the one to end him. London calling, and then put that painting up there.
You see, Fozzie's playing live.
In London?
The intro.
Oh, are they really?
Yes, they are.
Is he going to sing his way to the ring?
I don't know if he's going to sing all the way to the ring, but he's going to sing.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, but do you want to sing after what MJF did? I mean, I know that song's a hit, and Fozzie's had a bunch of hits, but you know he better sing well. That's all I'm saying.
All right, guys, you're all spectacular people. Thank you very much for hanging out with me.
And me too, because I'm here. But yeah, it's all right. No, it's all right.
This show is a collective me.
He's such a Karen.
I really am. I'm gonna go park poorly. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a lovely rest of your day. See you at the Triumph.
Dude, putting his hands all over her car.
Good.
Yeah.
Smudge it. Smudge the windows.
Look, he's
Wipe your hands on her freaking windshield.
Oh,
Do
man.
it.
Come on, dude. You got this. All right.
I hope he.
Yeah, he had trouble with that sidewalk.
Yeah, lean on her car. Lean on the mirror. No reason.
Don't you hope that the alarm went off?
Yes, I left the mic on.